Right now, tonight's top story in the fight over illegal immigration. Immigration reform went nowhere in Washington this year, but along the U.S. border with Mexico, the anger over the problem is constantly on the verge of breaking. Just take a look at what happened when an Arizona rancher trying to protect his own property ran into a Latino family on a hunting trip. Ed Lavandora has his story.
It's called because it has a big D on it.
Ron Morales says he just wanted to take his girls mule deer hunting in the Arizona scrub brush, just as his father had taken him.
We just headed out and we're having a really good time with my family and my friends.
But the Morales family outing ran headlong into the national immigration debate when they were confronted by a local rancher doing some hunting of his own.
Man, I mean, he was just cussing up a storm and screaming at the top of his lungs that my dad is just like his effing Mexican ignorant brothers from Mexico. You're all the same, he said.
We're not getting out of here alive. We're just gonna die right there.
This is the Barnett Ranch all throughout here.
Roger Barnett was on a self-appointed patrol, packing an assault rifle and a conviction that U.S. citizens need to take the problem of illegal immigration into their own hands.
As soon as I asked him what his name was, that's when he went back to his truck and reached underneath his seat and pulled out the AR-15. It took him 3 tries to chamber that bullet. And once he chambered that bullet, he says, my name is effing Roger Barnett, you know. And if you don't get out of here, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to kill you.
Barnett boasts of having captured 14,000 illegal immigrants in 7 years on the 22,000 acres of U.S. border property he leases from Arizona.
Nobody has ever been hurt or abused, but thousands have been turned over to the Border Patrol to be deported.
He's just scary. He was just really mad.
Did he have a gun? Did you see a gun? Or?
Yes, he had a gun.
But the family held at gunpoint was born and raised in the United States. And when local police wouldn't act, they joined with border activists, filing a civil lawsuit, hoping to stop Barnett's patrols and make an example of him.
Even if you find someone in your land, in these large holdings that are in southern Arizona, who has trespassed, you do not have a right to terrorize them.
A jury of mostly white Arizonans did just that, ordering Barnett to pay the Morales family almost $99,000 in damages, even as he denied making racial slurs and accused the family of trespassing.
Roger Barnett was their poster child, their call to action. We hope that it has a chilling effect on vigilante activities, not only here in Arizona, but across the country.
We made repeated attempts to speak with Roger Barnett, but he refused all of our requests for an interview. He did say, however, that this verdict will not change what he does, that he will continue to apprehend people who cross his ranch land near the Mexican border.
Roger Barnett is a great American.
His ideological followers, like Glenn Spencer, say they support his vision and won't be deterred by the judgment against him.
He hasn't heard of a flea. And as far as I know, he is not a racist.
Spencer has started a civilian version of the Border Patrol out of his Arizona home with employees, high-tech radar and radios, and a search plane. He flies so close to the U.S. border that this federal patrol plane rode his wing to force him back.
He was about 50 yards. I could have thrown a rock and knocked out his windshield.
And on the ground, he chases anyone who looks Mexican to him and warns that folks like the Moraleses of Mexican descent should know to be careful.
These people are aware of the severe controversy on the border, right? And they're walking into a hotbed of controversy with a weapon. And they know that they could be mistaken for somebody that's come across the border illegally.
Morales' daughters say they've been scared off. They'll never hunt in those foothills again.
I don't like it anymore. I'm really scared just to go out there. I don't like hunting anymore.
Ed Lavandera, CNN, near Douglas, Arizona.
And the one thing we know for sure tonight, the U.S. is going to have to work with Mexico's new president to solve the illegal immigration problem. But Felipe Calderon has his hands full at home. Take a look at these pictures as he took the oath of office earlier today in a chaotic ceremony that included fistfights in Mexico's Congress. It was such a mess that Calderon had to slip in through a back door. You might remember that Calderon was elected by a razor-thin margin, and his opponents have protested the results for weeks now. Well, tonight, Calderon is the focus of this week's People You Should Know. Here's Harris Whitbeck.
The new president of Mexico begins his 6-year term after the same kind of dispute that delayed the election of George W. Bush in 2000. Felipe Calderón won by less than 1 percentage point. His opponent claimed he had rigged the election and demanded a recount. Mexico's electoral court found no signs of fraud. Now, Calderón hopes to leave the controversy behind.
We must be united in this nation because only we can beat our true enemies: poverty, delinquency, and crime. Divided, we will lose the strength.
Calderón is a member of the Conservative National Action Party. He was raised Catholic and, like President Bush, opposes abortion and gay marriage. But the two leaders differ on the construction of a border fence that Calderón has compared to the Berlin Wall. While immigration is a hot issue, Calderón hopes it will not overshadow other matters.
I'm aware of the complexity of the relationship with the United States, of the need to defend the rights of migrants, and of the need to demand more joint responsibility from the Americans in terms of drug trafficking.
Welcome the President-elect.
Presidents Bush and Calderón have met since the election, and Mr. Bush says he'll make U.S.-Mexico relations a priority for the remainder of his term. Harris Whitbeck, CNN, Mexico City.
And still to come tonight, a possible Democratic presidential candidate turned up in one of the last places you might expect today. That makes it a top story in politics tonight. Next, what Senator Barack Obama told a group of evangelicals.